So, hey everybody, welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host, Cody Potter. Going to start the show off today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Commanders-Eagles game, a little breakdown for that. We're going to discuss a couple wide receivers and cornerbacks, just a bunch of college prospects that I really like. We're going to get into those. We're going to break them down. Before we start the show today, man, I just want to say thank you to the new followers, the subscribers, everybody that's checking out the pod, everybody that's watching, man. It's really cool. It's been a while. I've been doing this for years. Really just put the podcast out a couple years ago, man, and had some things. I wanted to express some gratitude, for y'all checking me out. So, keep commenting, keep liking, keep subscribing, man. I appreciate all of it, man. Keep checking me out. I want to be really interactive with you guys. So, just keep commenting, man. And I'll keep discussing football with you guys, man. Anything you guys want to talk about, anything like that, man, you get at me. I'll discuss it on this podcast, man. We discussed Marshawn Lattimore, me and a guy the other day. We were talking about how, that'll kind of that gives us a little bit of time to where we can go BPA at cornerback or something like that. You don't have to reach on one this year. But it also gives you time to develop one if behind Marshawn Lattimore, so things like that, so you can get a little jump on it too if it's the best available prospect. So to get into the show, man, we'll I think as a fan, man, when you lose to Philly, you lose to Pittsburgh, man. You're coming in 7-2 to Pittsburgh, and things like that, man. I think as a fan, for as long as we've been starved for things like this, I think we got to remember, man. Pittsburgh and Philly, man. These teams have been together for years. Everybody, like I said, man, every team is in a different stage, in their windows, their development, as far as their chemistry and everything like that. How many years has the coaching staff been implementing their scheme, their system? Everybody's in a different window, man. And, the Eagles and the Steelers, man, they're two well-balanced teams, man. Like both sides of the ball, they have a lot of talent. They can beat just about anybody. They're in every game that they play. And that's how they've developed this roster, man. Everybody talks about, the job that they're doing over there in Philly, man, with all the draft picks, man. But this is years of accumulating draft picks. This is years of accumulating talent, man. Trading for A.J. Brown, man, the Jalen Carters, things like that, Just the turnover in the roster, man. They've had Lane Johnson there for 12 years. They had Fletcher Cox there for all these years. Same thing with the Steelers, man. It's continuity, man. And that continuity, it keeps you competitive. It keeps you in there. When you're turning rosters over, you're turning coaching staffs over all the time, it's like, it's really hard to sustain success because, you're constantly rolling over, you're constantly changing direction, and you're just lost as a franchise, man. So, when I look at this team for the Commanders, competing against these teams in year one of this development with this staff, with this GM, with the, year two of this ownership group, man, it's only going to get better as long as patience and, everybody can keep their head and keep their focus and keep on one direction, which is ultimately for a Super Bowl, man. That's what we're trying to do. That's what every team is trying to do, is get to the Super Bowl. So for year one, man, when you think about the youth and all the roster turnover that we have, man, sometimes you gotta remember, you gotta reset your expectations, man. We're giving these teams everything that they got. We've been winning both games through 3 quarters and 3.5 quarters for both of these games against the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles, man. So I just try to remind everybody, man, just be grateful for what it is, man, for a really young team with a young quarterback to be playing not even your best game. We all can watch this and we can say, man, this has not been their best production. They are not executing the system like they were against other teams. But this is a stage in the development where you have to learn how to beat these teams. You have to learn to be good. You have to learn to be a competitive team against the competitive teams. You have to be able to learn to play beyond mistakes or not make mistakes. And you got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and realize, hey, man, we left these plays on the field, and that's why we're losing these games, man. How do we execute properly? How do we make these plays? And how do we communicate better and work through the week to get better at these things? With where this team is right now, from where they were at the beginning of the season to last year to where they're going in the future, man, it's a lot of things, man. Like anybody that's played football, man, this is the thing that I always try to tell fans. I try to stress this to people, but anybody that's played football, I don't care what level it is. It could be flag football, it could be youth football, it could be high school football, college, NFL, whatever the level of football is that you've played. If you know anything about football, man, you know that momentum can change in a heartbeat. People want to always blame flags. They want to blame refs, but realistically, man, you got to look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. we are a young team and we are beating ourselves out there. When we played Philly, you can talk about holding, you can talk about this, you can talk about that. But at the end of the game, if you really break the game down, when you watch our offensive line pull and you watch them shoot those gaps and our offensive line don't get into the place, and that's why we're not executing the run game, that is called execution. That is not called, oh, this guy was holding this, that, and the third. It is completely execution. It is completely on us. It is you versus you out there. You have to do your job. You have to execute the plays. The coaches can call whatever plays, and oh, it's a bad play. Oh, it's a bad. No, there isn't a bad play if you execute the play properly. And what do you think the other team is getting paid to do? They're getting paid to not let you execute it properly. They are getting paid to try to dictate the terms to what you can and cannot do on the field. That is the whole game. And anybody that knows, man, these from high school, from flag, from college, from whatever, dude, the windows only get smaller. They only get smaller. When you're in high school football, man, you have one 5-star athlete, dude, and that's very rare. Dude, your windows are like this big, man. That guy can shine every week, and it's just a different level of competition. But then when he gets into college, man, that window shrinks. And again, in the NFL, that window shrinks again, man. So, like, realistically, the execution comes down to a few plays. But when people are blaming this player, that player, this player, that player, like, realistically, it's a culmination of all the plays together. It's executing throughout the whole game to win the game. But that's my little thing for the fans, man. I really think that the Commanders are doing really, really good. And I think sometimes you just have to reset yourself as far as expectations to what we really are. And what we really are is a team that is really, really young. And we are competing in games that realistically most teams at this stage in a rebuild, no matter how good or how talented the team was previously or whatever, and whatever you inserted just made the difference. But like realistically, we are 5 or 6 plays in each game from probably realistically winning the game and holding it off, especially the Pittsburgh game. You know, the Philly game, it was sloppy, man, but that defense looked really, really good out there. Jeremy Chin, man, he's playing these tight ends better, man. Tight ends are not gashing us through the middle of the field. You know, we're still giving up yards, but dude, like realistically, man, once this roster gets a core of youth, you know, at the linebacker position and just everything starts to click and you get players and depth pieces where you don't have to keep the guys on the field as often because your turnover from this guy being on the field to that guy being on the field is much better because you have culminated and developed a roster that you can make subs and you can make these things and the fall off isn't as far. And you know, that's how you re-sign players and let players go at their right time, and that's how you continue to build a roster. So again, I'm just very excited with where we are. And, you know, it hurts to lose a divisional game, especially when it's for first place in the division. But one thing I like to remind people is realistically, man, if Philly wants to be first place at week 12, you know, come talk to me week 17, man, because we got another shot at them. And we have a schedule that says we can be right there at the end of the season. We can still be competing for them at the end of the season. And let's see what lessons this team learns. You know, they have a week 14 bye. They finally get 10 days to kind of relax their bodies and get healthy, man. Let's just see what this roster looks like. You know, now that we've gotten through the midseason, we've gone through the highs and we've gone through the lows. No season for no team, even if they go undefeated, is ever going to be perfect. You're going to have down moments. You're going to have bad games. Like sometimes you just do not match up against this team or this scheme or this thing. Like that happens in the NFL, man. Like I said, the windows are so small. And you just got to remember that, man. Like it's still in a very exciting time, man. And I just think everybody just needs to reflect on what this team really is. And what it is really good. It's really good. Like, you know, Jaden Daniels, for the first time, looked like a rookie. In a divisional game, it's his third divisional game, and this is the first time he's really, 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 really looked like a rookie. And you could talk about injury or whatever, but, dude, that team bracketed Terry McLaurin. And I mean, just like from a growth standpoint, look at what Mikey Sanders still did against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith when he was lined up against him. You mean to tell me that when he's playing in his natural position, whether, you know, they mix and match him outside or inside, dude, like this guy is showing that he is a really, really, really good player. And when he was lined up against A.J. Brown, man, he showed he belonged. When he was lined up against Devontae Smith, he showed he belonged. We were hitting them guys, man. And honestly, man, this is the first time A.J. Brown hasn't gone off against us since he's been in Philly. Then you're thinking about Terry McLaurin being bracketed by Quinyon Mitchell. Dude, that dude is a baller. Like, they have two good, really good, bright young corners too, man. And, you know, for what everybody says, because, you know, the Sam Still and the Cooper DeJean was part of a trade, you know, during the draft, man. Like, both teams won. Both teams won the trade. We need more picks. We need overall youth and talent throughout our roster. So, yes, they got Cooper DeJean, but Mikey Sanders still is every bit as good as him, if not better. I think, you know, they're just two different players. They're two different players. They're two different sizes, but do what they do. They're both very, very similarly graded, man. I just prefer the movement skills Mikey Sammerstill over the movement skills of Cooper DeJean. Plus, you factor in injuries and things like that, man. But like, dude, like realistically, they're very similarly graded players, and both of them were honestly steals for where they went. And it was a win for both teams because we also added in, like honestly, like multiple picks. So again, man, it's just exciting to be where we are. I wanted to shout out him, man. I want to shout out Daron Payne, man. Everybody can talk about what Daron Payne's getting graded at, but dude, he blows up plays. He blows up plays in the run. Frankie Louvu is just all over the field, man. So is Jeremy Chin. I got to shout out Quan Martin, man. This dude has caused 2 fumbles in 2 weeks, man. And this was the one play that I really got to say, man. When Dallas Goedert was running up the field, and he knocked the ball out from behind. You could just tell in that moment, man. If anybody that knows football knows momentum and all these swings and how games are, man, sometimes it's just not your day. And when you watch a ball go 10 yards in front of the player when it's knocked out and their player lands on the ball when you got 3 players around it, like realistically, you just know it is not your day. It was not our day. And hats off to Philly, man. Honestly, I'll take the lesson. Like I said, they can have first place week 12. I would really, really like to see what it's like week 17, man. And hats off to them, man, because they brought the juice. They brought the energy. Saquon Barkley is a freak. And, like I said, man, that's my kind of breakdown of what I saw against Philly. Just things like that. And just, things that I'm seeing online, man, on my forums and just things, that I interact with fans, throughout. I just like I said, I think you needed to be put into perspective that realistically, man, nothing that happened this past week should make you feel upset or just change your mind for how this season is going, man. 7-4, like, dude, realistically, you look at the Saints, Dallas twice, and our schedule, man. Like, if this team handles the second half of this season the same way that they handled the first half of the season, they continue to play with confidence and grow and play for one another, man. There's no reason this team should not be staring at 10, much less 11. You beat Philly, maybe even 12 wins, man, and that would be really, really crazy. That would be running it out. And honestly, man, I see no reason we can't do it. If this team can captivate, can gel back into themselves, take this 10-day break, use the bye week to their advantage, man, and come back refocused. Now you've seen Philly. Give it back to him. I know Terry's hungry. I know Terry isn't going to let that game stand down, man. Like, he's been shut down before in divisional matchups against Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs, man. Like, dude, he's had bad games. He's had bad games in the division, man. But, like, one thing we all know about Terry, he's going to work. He's going to work to elevate his game. Now he's seen Quinyon Mitchell. He's seen Cooper DeJean, man. Let me tell you, dude, it's going to be a whole nother game for Terry. It should be a whole nother game for Jaden. Like realistically, man, again, we're still seeing very vanilla things for Jaden Daniels compared to what we were seeing early in the season. Like, clearly there's an injury thing. And people are talking about, man, he's not mad. Dude, if you're looking at that kid on the sideline, man, he's mad. That kid does not like to lose. You don't have to be a rah-rah guy and throw your helmet just to show anger or just to show emotion. You can look at this dude's face and tell that he's dialed in. And he's just like trying to figure out, man, like, why am I not making this play? Or like, man, I really left this play on the field, but I got to move on to the next play. And how do I move on to the next play? And how do I execute better? Like, this was the worst game that our offensive line has played. And like I said, man, it's just parts of it that, I think we as fans just need to be really, 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 really real with ourselves about the expectations for this team, which I think are still very, very high. If you told me come January that this team won a playoff game, I would not be shocked. And for doing that with this year of our window of what we are, with a rookie quarterback, with a rookie left tackle, a lot of turnover, just year one, man, that would be crazy. And honestly, I don't think it's a fluke. It's not due to our schedule. We are playing every team on our schedule the same exact way. We are putting in the effort for 4 quarters, and that's what matters. So I want to move on, man, because, the biggest thing about this podcast is I love college football. I scout college football. I'm always looking for personality types and, the type of coaching staff that we have and players that really transcend. And, honestly, man, I'd love that we have Dan Quinn and this staff, because the way that they're running this offense under Brian Johnson, Cliff Kingsbury, and the old Chargers coach, Anthony Lynn, the things that they're doing, man, the way that they're using their run schemes, their blocking schemes, the way that they're using wide receivers, man, I really love it. I love it because it's the type of things that I like. I like guys that can get yards after catch, man, using the screen game, incorporating it, getting your quarterback comfortable, things like that, getting your quarterback on the move, multi-level production, high, low reads, things like that, man. We just need more better personnel, and that's why I want to get into these wide receivers. And when I think about the defense, man, I don't think St. Juice is a bad player. As a fan, you're going to dog St. Juice. I don't care. Like, it's, for whatever level of knowledge that you have. St. Juice plays technically good football. He's not supposed to be lining up against A.J. Brown. Like, some games you just can't help that because A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, it doesn't really matter. Pick your poison. And teams are built that way. But when you play other teams, like, you see him produce, man. Like, this guy can play in this league, man. He's a good player, but, I do think that he can be upgraded. I do think players like Dyami Brown can be upgraded because when I think about the plays that they have made, the really, really good plays that they have made, there's players in college that I look at and I'm like, man, you put that player and his trajectory for development and like his explosive ability and like the things that you see on him in college from where he was as a player coming in from high school to where he is now, and you think about like the growth trend that they can continue. Man, dude, I really, really get excited for certain positions in this draft, and I'm not really, really high on this wide receiver class overall, but there's always weapons, man. There's always guys, and, in every class, man, if you really, really do the work, you're going to find these guys, and it's part of the reason that like I said, I wanted to talk about wide receivers, and we'll talk about a couple corners. Because when you watch this game, man, you just see it, man. Terry needs another guy. Like, Terry needs another guy across from him. And, everybody talks about T. Higgins and things like that. But Noah Brown makes the catches in front most of the time. I think teams are defending him a little bit better because they know he's the number 2. But realistically, if you had that tall guy as a number 3 with another explosive guy that kind of gives you what Deuce has given this team on occasion, it's really on occasion. But if you watch the tape, man, like, Deuce has really made some guys miss behind the line of scrimmage on screens and turned them into positive plays. And you can hate on him for dropping catches. You can hate on him for this, and he hasn't done that. And yes, for a third-round pick, man, you expect better. But like when you really break it down, like you see flashes of what his style of play does good for this team and how that would fit. Okay, so take that, and how would this fit? What prospects would fit? Well, I think very quickly about Luther Burton. Luther Burton from Missouri, man. Like, this guy's like 5'11", man. He is explosive as hell. Like, this guy is, I don't know if his run after catch explosive cut ability reflects the same thing to his route running. I think he does need to get a little bit more defined in his route running. And that's most college wide receivers, man. Very seldomly do you have guys like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I can go through Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Like, those guys have blue chip route running ability for a reason, because it's getting more and more normal. Malik Neighbors, things like that. You're seeing these guys more and more because of 7-on-7 and flag and everything that these guys are doing in the offseason, from high school football to college football and everything like that. Coaches and everything that they're doing, working together with other guys throughout the country. Like, it's definitely showing, because these guys in college are almost putting out like the trajectory of what you would have expected 5 or 6 years ago from a wide receiver third year in the league, as far as what you're seeing from like the ascension of the game and the talent that you're seeing. So Luther Burton is one guy from Missouri that I really, really like. I do stand by the thing that the more tape that you have in school, the better I get to feel for you as a prospect, the safer it is as a prospect. Luther Burton is a junior, and I tend to, you have to be a really, really good junior. And honestly, if you look at Luther Burton's production this year, it's a little bit down. Brady Cooks had some injuries, but honestly, man, he's a player that I get really, really excited with, man. I see this guy block. I see the effort still there. So maybe the production isn't there, but dude, like from season to season, everything changes. When teams have better tape on you, they're going to defend you a different style way, man. And like when you look at Missouri in the SEC, dude, he's going against the best every week. And I just a player that I get really, really excited about, man. That's a guy you're probably going to have to take round 1, but he's, for where I'm seeing him graded, you're not going to get him round 2 because you're too far back in that round. You'd probably have to make that pick round 1. Or are we going to make that over an edge player, over offensive line player? I don't know. But I mean, like I said, this is just really breaking it down for what I'm seeing from this Philly game, from the Steelers game. Playing against the good teams, that's where you judge your roster off of. And this is what I'm saying when I see this roster. Like, I also look at running back position as another position that I really, really think this team needs to address. Not because Eckler doesn't play good. We all love B-Rob. We all see the impact that B-Rob has on this team, man. And you get another player, another dynamic weapon at the running back position, man, this team could be really, really special on offense, man. And that collectively goes to the offensive line, man. Like, it's one and the other. It's not one or the other. You have to have really, really good O-line play, which is why I think we kind of struggled. The Eagles defensive line and the Steelers defensive line, man, they are elite level. we missed assignments in the blocking scheme this week. And, honestly, I think that's a big reason why we did not dominate the game like we usually have as far as time of possession and sustaining drives and things like that, and drives just falling flat once we got across the 50. There's other players in this draft that I really, really do like. Trey Harris from Ole Miss, man. He's another electric guy that I really, really like. You got the LSU wide receiver, Kyron Lacy. He's a bigger body wide receiver. He's not the explosive guy. He's more of a Noah Brown type guy. I think I've discussed that before, where he's going to play above the rim. He's going to make tough catches. Not really my favorite style of wide receiver, because I feel like when you're playing above the rim and you're crashing on the ground a lot, you're taking a lot of hits, not really playing through separation, man. It's like you need that guy. You need guys that can be able to do that, especially in the red zone when the windows get harder. But I don't like to build my offense around that type of wide receiver, man. I like guys that can get yards after catch, and maybe they aren't the most dynamic in the red zone because realistically, they don't have the 6'3" size or things like that. But I really, really do like the LSU wide receiver that plays across from him, who's 5'8". I think that guy is basically your Zacchaeus replacement, man. Like a little bit smaller wide receiver that can line up in the slot. Just juice for days, man. You're going to get this guy on screens, things like that, man. I know we need a little bit. You're probably looking more in the taller range of wide receiver to upgrade from Noah Brown, man. But what Noah Brown has given you has been commendable, man. He has earned a spot on this field, and he would probably make a good backup if you are able to find the draft value for our pick that allows you to pick a bigger body wide receiver. But for me, when I look at what this team is missing, we need explosion. We need explosion because teams are taking out Terry because that is our explosive piece in the pass game. You need another one. You have another one, then you also have a big body, or you have a dynamic slot wide receiver, man. Now you're talking different things, because I really think Ben Sinnott next year is going to give you a lot of versatility from that tight end position. Because I'm seeing this guy open. I'm seeing Ben Sinnott to where he should be making plays, and it's part, like I said, man, it's part of Jaden's development as well. Jeremiah Hunter is another wide receiver from Washington that I kind of like. You're going to get, as you get down the list, man. Troy Horton from Colorado State, man, played last night, man. I like this kid. I really, really like this kid from Colorado State, man. I like the way that Colorado State plays. I like the attitude, a little bit lower level of competition, man, but they play up every week. Just like I said, man, a bunch of names that I wanted to get to on the wide receiver position, man. I want to turn it to the cornerback position, because this is a position that it has my heart, man. I love playing D-back, man. It's always been a thing for me. It's a dream. I love the way that the elite guys have special movement skills, man. Like the reason that I really enjoy scouting the cornerback position, because it's like, man, the wide receiver knows where the play's going, and it takes a really, really, really special mental makeup, skill set for a corner that can not only have the attitude to tackle and get into the run game, but man, they're on an island. Like when they make a mistake, it's 6. It takes a special mental makeup to be able to play that position and then come back and make a play when you just gave up one. And I really, really do love it, because like, honestly, man, it's the movement skills, it's the hips, it's the feet, and just it's balance, and just it takes a really, really, really special person to be a dynamic cornerback in this league, man. So I get really, really excited, man, because it's just a position that has my heart. And I like this cornerback class, man, especially the outside corners, man, like the Takario Davis from Arizona. Talk about hips, movement skills, will stick his neck in there and make a tackle. He can get his hands on the ball. Like, he's a really, really, really good prospect, man. I'm not going over the Will Johnson, the Travis Hunter. He's my third-rated corner. Another cornerback that I really, really like, man, and like nothing against the Ohio State cornerbacks, man. I like the Ohio State cornerbacks. I think I'm just a little lower on them. Just from things that I see on tape. They're just because they're not my flavor, I don't give them as high of a grade. Doesn't mean I don't see the potential to just not what I want here for this team, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And not that I wouldn't be upset if we got them. It would just be one of those things where it's like, as I've said about Emmanuel Forbes and Christian Gonzalez, and that doesn't mean that I'm not wrong on this, what I'm saying, and I'm not comparing any of them to either of these players. What I'm saying is like, I have a preference. If you told me that I could get McMillan, if you told me that I could get Takario Davis from Arizona over a Denzel Burke Jr., yeah, I want that. I like, just like Christian Gonzalez over, like, whatever. Like, I'm not saying either will pan out the other way, like that same way or the different way. It's just, I have a preference for what I see for this coaching staff. Another player that I really, really do like, And this is in the mold of St. Juice. Like it's taking the things that St. Juice does well to what you see they did adding Marshawn Latimer. And then like, dude, when I think about a guy that sticks with players, who's big, definitely will tackle, physical, just, and he's not very handsy down the field, which is where Benjamin St. Juice fails a lot of times. Jabbar Muhammad from Oregon, man. This is a big body cornerback with really good hips for his size and his frame. Like, honestly, man, he moves really, really well for a guy that's as built as he is, man. This is a jack cornerback, man. Like, when you think about being able to have loose, like really, really loose hips and turn your feet and the movement skills, this guy's a little bit big to be moving the way that he does. And he's a hitter. He's a thumper, man. He comes up, he tackles, man. He's built, like I say, he's built like a big safety, man. Like, honestly, and like his coverage skills his coverage grades for me are really, 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 really good. And then, like I'm looking around, man. Another corner that I'm really kind of high on is the Virginia Tech cornerback, man. I messed up. Sorry. The Virginia Tech cornerback, man, Dorian Strong, man, he is a big guy, and that guy tackles, man. If you play at Virginia Tech, you tackle. I'm going to get into a little bit of matchups about college football for today since it's Saturday. Dorian Strong is a cornerback that I really, really like, man. He has that old school Virginia Tech attitude, man, the old beamer ball kind of corner. Virginia Tech corner, like defensive players have always had a little bit of a niche type attitude. Dorian Strong brings that, man. He's number 44 for Virginia Tech, man. A guy that's probably going to be lower on a lot of lists. I'm a little bit higher on him than a lot of people. He's just a player that I really, really, really like. And then I think there was one more that I had that I kind of had on my list that I kind of wanted to. Benjamin Morrison, man. Benjamin Morrison is a player that I'm really, really high on from Notre Dame. I think he's dealing with a little bit of injury this year from what I'm seeing on tape, man. I'm not seeing the movement skills as good as I've seen the last 2 years from him in college, man. But I think that's a guy that checks all the boxes for what you want, that would really, really fit into our scheme. And yeah, man, like I said, I just want to break down a little bit of college players and things like that, man. And then today, man, we got a couple big matchups. Some games that everybody's going to be tuning into. I really, really do enjoy watching the lower level of football. Just not lower level, man, but just not the number ones, the number one ranked teams and all that, things like that, the top 25, man. Of course, I watch those games. I definitely break those games down. But I really, really like finding those diamonds in the rough, man. I was really enjoying the Colorado State game yesterday against Josh Allen's old school Wyoming. So today, man, you got Tennessee, Georgia, man. That's gonna be a rock solid battle, man. Georgia can really not afford to have 3 losses on the season, man. Carson Beck better figure it out. Tennessee's got a offense that realistically, man, if they get rolling, man, it's gonna be really hard for Georgia to stop. So I expect Georgia to come out defensively and be try to set a tone early, man. I expect them to be hitting hard. Tennessee's got a really, really good running back that I like. Really, really young, bright quarterback. They got a good, really, 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 really good edge player. Linebacker, their linebacker is playing out of his mind right now. Their middle linebacker for Tennessee, man, and they have a couple good back end players that I'm really, really high on as well. Some of these guys aren't exactly sophomores or juniors, so you won't really hear about me talking about them as far as prospects or things like that. If I'm talking about a prospect, as a freshman or a sophomore, man, they're going to be on that Ryan Williams, Alabama wide receiver level. Like, you're going to be special. You're pretty much going to have a blue chip grade from the time you came out of high school to the time you're going to the pros. I mean, barring injury or something like that, or just something crazy, some kind of mental breakdown. I mean, just whatever it is. These guys usually hold right true. Just like the Ohio State wide receiver, man. It's just things like that. Ohio State plays Northwestern, man. Northwestern's been a team that's always kind of they'll play tough in the Big Ten, man. They play tough. They don't always reflect their record for how they're going to compete against Michigan or Ohio State, things like that. But it's a game that's you're definitely going to want to check out, especially for its prospects, man. Ohio State's always, what Ohio State is, man. They're a blue chip level team, man. You want to find blue chips throughout the roster. On the bench, you're going to see blue chip players, man. It's like Texas, things like that. Texas has a game today. Oregon, Wisconsin, man. I know the records won't reflect it, man, but I'm a really, really big Luke Heupel fan, the Wisconsin coach. I think they're getting there. It's a little bit slower than I thought it maybe be after what he was doing in Cincinnati, man. But the turnaround on this team for Wisconsin, man, is noticeable. I'm starting to see the type of players that were going to Cincinnati that really never went to Cincinnati before him. Those type of skill sets and players builds competitive toughness, things like that I'm seeing coming out of high school. They're starting to get throughout Wisconsin's roster, man. Another year or two, I think Wisconsin's going to be there in the Big Ten. And honestly, they need it. The Big Ten needs Nebraska and Wisconsin, man. They need them up there with the Michigans and now the Oregons and USCs and things like that. And then Boise State, San Jose State, man. This is what I like, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. We all know what Genty's doing there for Boise State, man. He's making his case for the Heisman, man. He's running for Barry Sanders' record. San Jose State's going to bring it, man. They're going to play them tough. I don't know if they keep up with them through the game, man, but San Jose State's a team that's always right there with the North Dakota States and those for their level of football. So I expect a really good game there, man. I think that's a game that everybody needs to pay attention to, man, because Boise State is a super talented team, but San Jose State, they're going to give them the business. They're going to give them everything they have for 4 quarters. And then my game of the week, man, is honestly. It's not because of Luther Burden, not because of the prospects, things like that, man. I'm really, really excited, man, what I'm seeing for down the line from Missouri and especially South Carolina, man. As I mentioned, Frank Beamer, the old Beamer ball saying from Virginia Tech, man. I always love the type of attitudes that I found, like for guys that I had graded higher for Virginia Tech that went later in the draft, man. I can go back to Cam Chancellor. I can go back to the safety that the Washington had drafted in like the 7th round, man. He was like on his way to having like a rookie of the year type season, man, before he had like a spinal injury. I mean, dude, like Virginia Tech always seems to put out really, really, really good attitudes, man. And like now that I'm seeing Beamer there in South Carolina, dude, I'm looking at this roster, man. And everybody knows the edge in South Carolina, man. That guy's blue chip already, day one. You could pick him. You could, if he was eligible for the draft, he'd be the number 1 pick type talent at edge. But dude, I'm looking at South Carolina, man, and I see that Beamer ball attitude. I'm very, very excited to watch this matchup, man. I really, really want to see Cook healthy throughout, man. Because I want to see I want to see that connection, man. I really want to see Missouri look like they were looking last year, man, when they were a team that were playing above their level. I think that anybody expected them to last season. Kind of a little bit, like I said, a little bit of drop off this year. The quarterback's hurt, but Brady Cook is a really, really, really good player. And I just want to see Missouri versus the South Carolina defense, man. Like, honestly, man, like on both sides of the ball, man, South Carolina has some studs. They got Rocket Sanders, man, at running back, man. He's a big bowling ball running back, man. Like, I mean, if he had just... I see the wiggle on tape, man. It's kind of deceptive. He's a really, really fun scout for me, man, because like I'm just like I watch this guy run and I'm like, man, if this guy just had a little wiggle, and then I see a little wiggle and I'm like, damn, dude, like am I like hating on this guy, or am I just because of his size, am I just not expecting it? Am I just like over evaluating this guy, or like because he's a dog running back, man. I really like to see him with the ball in his hands, man. And when South Carolina has him on the field, man, they're really exciting to watch, man. So again, I think that's my game of the week. I don't predict games, man. I love the game too much. I really scout. I just enjoy scouting the players, man. I don't do picks or things like that. I could care less about that shit, man. I don't gamble. I love this game too much to gamble. So again, man, I just, like I said, man, I appreciate you guys stopping by, checking out, man. Anybody that listens to these pods, man, like I said, I love talking football, man. I'm really grateful for you guys. If you want to leave some comments, man, I'll definitely get back to you there. I'll even put them on the pod and discuss your questions if you guys ask any. Like I said, man, I'm just grateful for everything, man. I'm grateful to be able to be on here talking football, man. I love football, love scouting football, man. That's what I live for, man. I do it year round, man. Even when the season's over, man, I'm rewatching games for making my notes for next year, things like that, man. It's just year round for me, and I just love it, man. And as a Commanders fan, as a Miami U fan, man, I think it's just really, really exciting for where we're at. And you never know what'll come in. I just like to put out the content for you guys, and hopefully one day, man, I can have you guys on taking calls, doing things like that, man. We'll talk to you guys live, man. This is by fans for fans, so I want to be interactive with the fans again. Like I'm gonna say that every episode, because this is for the fans, and it is by somebody who just is a avid football fan. No matter what level of football that I've played to and things like that, I still play. It's just something that I love, man. I just wanted to discuss it with you guys and put it out there, man. I just really, really enjoy scouting football. I think just breaking down these players, man, getting inside and just seeing what a guy's made of, man. These guys put so much much into it, man. I think people forget as fans, man, when they're betting on things like that they just aren't appreciating the game for what it is. It's a beautiful game. It's a hard game. It can have its moments, man. But I tell you, man, to see guys from all over the world come together, man, different cultures, different environments, man, and they come together and play as a team, man. It's a really, 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 really awesome thing to see, man. That's why I get so excited for this game. It's just a beautiful game. So again, man, I appreciate you guys stopping by to the Blue Chip Podcast. This is your host, Cody Potter. We're out, man. Have a blessed Saturday. Hopefully your teams win. Peace.